At first glance, Serbia rarely appears on the world's travel wish lists. It has no coastline, no postcard-perfect beaches, no glossy image carefully polished for mass tourism. And yet, right here, in the very heart of the Balkans, lies a country where history, identity, and resilience quietly collide. Serbia sits between Central and Southeast Europe, at a crossroads where empires once met, clashed, and disappeared. Roman legions marched through these valleys. Ottoman minarets rose beside Orthodox churches. Austro-Hungarian architecture still stands next to concrete memories of the 20th century. This is not a place designed to impress instantly. It reveals itself slowly, almost reluctantly. For centuries, Serbia has existed in the shadow of larger powers, often defined by conflict rather than curiosity. Wars redrew its borders. Ideologies tried to reshape its soul. Yet somehow, Serbia endured, carrying its stories quietly, waiting for someone to listen. What makes Serbia fascinating is not a single landmark, but the tension you feel everywhere. A tension between past and present, between pride and pain, between survival and hope. Walk through its cities, and you sense it immediately. Old stone fortresses overlook rivers where modern cafes buzz with conversation. Church bells echo over streets filled with laughter, music, and life. History is not locked away in museums here. It lives in everyday moments. Serbia is a country often spoken about, but rarely understood. Mention its name, and many think only of headlines, conflicts, or political turmoil. But beyond those surface narratives lies a culture shaped by perseverance, hospitality, and deep-rooted identity. Serbians carry a quiet strength, not loud, not performative, but unbreakable. Their history taught them how fragile peace can be, and how precious normal life truly is. Perhaps that is why a simple coffee shared with friends can last for hours, why music feels emotional, even raw, why stories are told with honesty rather than decoration. There is also mystery here, a sense that Serbia does not fully explain itself to outsiders. It invites you in, but it never reveals everything at once. You must stay longer, listen deeper, look closer. This land has seen kingdoms rise and fall, alliances formed and shattered. It stood at the center of the former Yugoslavia, once a bridge between East and West. When that world collapsed, Serbia was left to redefine itself in a new century, carrying both the weight of memory and the challenge of moving forward. Today, Serbia feels like a place in transition, not rushing, not frozen, but carefully finding its path. Young generations look outward, connected to the world through language, technology, and culture. At the same time, traditions remain strong, guarded with respect and pride. Faith, family, and history still matter deeply here. What surprises most visitors is how human Serbia feels. No performance, no exaggeration, just life, unfolding honestly. In the Balkans, Serbia is often called the heart, not because it is perfect, but because it pulses with emotion, contradiction, and meaning. To explore Serbia is not simply to visit a destination. It is to step into a story still being written, a story shaped by struggle, resilience, and quiet dignity. And perhaps that is what makes Serbia so compelling. Not what it shows at first glance, but what it reveals when you choose to truly see. Because some of the most powerful places in the world are not the loudest, not the easiest, and not the most advertised. They are the ones waiting patiently for the right traveler to finally understand them. To understand Serbia, one must first understand its history, not as a list of dates, not as distant facts in a textbook, but as a living force that still shapes how this land breathes today. Long before modern borders existed, South Slavic tribes settled these valleys and rivers, laying the earliest foundations of Serbian identity. Over time, medieval Serbian kingdoms rose, reaching moments of power, culture, and spiritual depth. Monasteries were built in stone and silence, preserving faith, language, and memory. This was a civilization rooted not only in territory, but in belief. Yet Serbia's history was never calm. It was constantly tested. Empires arrived from every direction. The Byzantine influence, then the Ottoman advance, slow and unstoppable. And at the heart of this collision stands one moment that still echoes through centuries: the Battle of Kosovo in 1389. It was not simply a battle, it became a symbol, a turning point where loss transformed into meaning, where defeat was remembered not as weakness, but as sacrifice. For Serbs, Kosovo is not just a place on a map, it is a story passed from generation to generation, a reminder that identity can survive even when power is lost. Centuries of Ottoman rule followed. Life under foreign domination reshaped society, culture, and resistance. Yet Serbia did not disappear. It adapted, quietly preserved its language, its faith, and its sense of self. Rebellions erupted. Freedom was imagined long before it was achieved, and when independence finally came in the 19th century, it was hard-earned, paid for with endurance and courage. But history was not finished with Serbia. The 20th century brought new storms. World wars turned the Balkans into fault lines of global conflict. Serbia found itself again at the center of forces far larger than itself. Alliances shifted. Borders moved. Ideologies rose and collapsed. Each era left marks, some visible in architecture, others hidden in collective memory. What makes Serbia remarkable is not that it suffered. Many nations have. It is how Serbia remembers. History here is not a race to move forward. It is acknowledged, respected, sometimes mourned. You can feel it in the way stories are told, in the seriousness of certain conversations, in the pride that carries both honor and humility. This turbulent past forged a people who understand loss, but refuse to be defined by it. A people who learned resilience not from theory, but from experience. There is a quiet dignity in this history. No need to exaggerate. No need to forget. Serbia's past explains why identity matters so deeply here, why traditions are guarded, why independence is valued beyond politics. Every fortress ruin, every monastery wall, every old song carries echoes of survival. To explore Serbia is to walk through layers of time, where each century whispers lessons of endurance. This is not a country shaped by comfort. It is a nation shaped by trials, and perhaps that is why Serbia feels so real, so grounded, so human. Because when a land has faced the weight of history again and again, what remains is something rare, not perfection, but strength, with soul. A story not polished for outsiders, but preserved for those willing to listen. If Serbia's earlier history was shaped by empires and endurance, the 20th century pushed this land into the very center of global storms. What followed was not a single chapter, but a sequence of transformations that would leave deep marks on the nation's soul. It begins with the spark that changed the world. In 1914, a single moment in Sarajevo ignited the First World War. From that point on, the Balkans were no longer a distant region on the edge of Europe. They became the epicenter of a conflict that reshaped the planet. For Serbia, the cost was immense. The loss of life was staggering. Entire generations were altered forever. Yet from the ashes of that war, a new idea emerged. A bold experiment, a vision of unity. Yugoslavia was born. A country designed to bring together South Slavic peoples under one shared identity. For a time, it seemed like a solution to centuries of division. Different cultures, languages, and religions coexisted within one state, held together by hope, ideology, and the promise of stability. But unity, when built too quickly, can hide fragile foundations. After the Second World War, Yugoslavia entered a unique path. Neither fully aligned with the East nor the West, it stood apart, navigating the Cold War with its own voice. For many, this period felt like balance. Borders were open, life carried a sense of shared belonging, and Serbia stood at the heart of this complex federation. Yet beneath the surface, old tensions never fully disappeared. They waited, quietly, patiently. As the 20th century drew to a close, Yugoslavia began to crack. Political shifts, economic strain, and rising nationalism pulled the country apart. What followed was painful, confusing, and deeply emotional. The breakup of Yugoslavia was not just political, it was personal. Families were divided, friendships crossed new borders overnight. Places once familiar suddenly felt distant. For Serbia, this period was especially heavy. Sanctions, isolation, and conflict left scars that cannot be erased by time alone. The world watched the Balkans through headlines and simplified narratives, but life on the ground was far more complex. It was a time of uncertainty, resilience, and quiet survival. And then came rebirth. From the collapse of Yugoslavia, Serbia emerged as an independent nation once again. Smaller in size, but carrying the full weight of history behind it. This was not a fresh start without memory. It was a continuation, a nation learning to redefine itself, to reflect, to move forward without denying the past. What makes this chapter so powerful is not the conflict itself, but what followed after, the rebuilding of identity, the search for balance between memory and modern life. Today, the echoes of Yugoslavia are still present, in architecture, in music, in stories told over long conversations, but they no longer define the future alone. Serbia's rebirth is quiet, not loud. It does not announce itself. It unfolds gradually, through culture, creativity, and reflection. This is a country that has seen systems rise and fall, flags change, borders redraw themselves, and yet, something essential remained: a deep awareness of history, a respect for endurance, and an understanding that identity is not something given, but something shaped through experience. Serbia today stands not as a nation without scars, but as one that carries them with honesty. Each mark tells a story, each story adds depth, and for those willing to look beyond the surface, this chapter reveals something rare. A country reborn not by forgetting, but by remembering. After centuries of upheaval, empires, and rebirth, Serbia's identity did not disappear, it crystallized. To understand this land today, one must look not only at its history, but at the symbols quietly woven into everyday life. The Serbian flag is more than color and fabric. Red, blue, and white do not simply fly in the wind. They carry memory, struggle, continuity. Seen above city halls, village squares, or roadside shrines, the flag feels less like a political statement and more like a reminder of endurance. Then there is the script. Cyrillic letters appear on street signs, official documents, and church walls, standing firm as guardians of Slavic heritage. Each curve and line feels deliberate, ancient, and meaningful. For Serbia, Cyrillic is not just a writing system, it is a symbol of cultural survival, a quiet declaration that history still speaks here. And yet, Serbia is not frozen in the past. Walk a few streets further, and Latin letters emerge naturally. Menus switch alphabets. Billboards blend scripts. English phrases slip effortlessly into conversations. This seamless transition feels almost magical. Few countries move so fluidly between worlds. Serbia does not see tradition and openness as opposites. Instead, it treats them as layers. One does not erase the other. They coexist. This duality defines the modern Serbian spirit, deeply Slavic, yet globally aware, protective of roots, yet curious about the wider world. Language reflects this balance beautifully. Serbian speech carries warmth and intensity. Words are spoken with emotion, with weight. Stories unfold slowly, often accompanied by gestures, pauses, and shared silence. Communication here is not rushed. It is felt, and behind it all lies a powerful sense of belonging, an understanding that identity is not something shouted, but something lived. In Serbia, identity is found in the alphabet on a cafe sign, in the rhythm of a sentence, in the respect shown to tradition without rejecting the present. It is a country that remembers who it is, even as it welcomes what comes next. And for travelers who pay attention, this layered identity becomes one of Serbia's most fascinating mysteries. Not loud, not forced, but deeply, unmistakably real. Belgrade does not reveal itself all at once. It unfolds, slowly, layer by layer. At first glance, it feels like a single capital city standing at the crossroads of Europe. But the longer one stays, the clearer it becomes. Belgrade is not one city. It is two souls sharing the same horizon. To the south, the city pulses with life. Ancient streets wind through neighborhoods shaped by centuries of history. Cafes spill onto sidewalks. Laughter echoes between worn stone walls. Here, Belgrade feels emotional, expressive, and alive. Church domes rise above rooftops, and every corner seems to whisper stories of kingdoms, sieges, and survival. This side of the city carries warmth, a human rhythm, a sense that life is meant to be lived slowly, shared over conversation, coffee, and long evenings. Then comes the river. The Sava flows calmly, almost deceptively so. It does not rush, it observes, and in doing so, it becomes more than water. It becomes a boundary and a bridge. Cross it, and the atmosphere changes. To the north, Belgrade grows quieter, more open, more industrial. Concrete blocks stand as silent witnesses to a different era. Here, the legacy of Yugoslavia is unmistakable. Wide boulevards, bold structures, and functional design reflect a time shaped by ideology and ambition. This side feels restrained, measured, almost introspective, yet it is not cold. Instead, it offers contrast, perspective, a reminder that Belgrade's identity was forged not only through culture, but through vision, reconstruction, and resilience. What makes Belgrade remarkable is not this division, but how naturally the two worlds coexist. The river does not separate them, it connects them. At sunset, Both sides glow in the same golden light. Old fortresses and modern blocks reflect together on the water's surface. Past and present share the same reflection. Belgrade teaches a quiet lesson, that contradictions can live side by side, that history and reinvention do not cancel each other out. They complete the picture. For those who truly explore it, Belgrade is not just a city to visit, it is a city to understand. After understanding Belgrade as a city of two worlds, the journey naturally moves closer. From grand history to the quiet details of everyday life, this is where Belgrade truly reveals itself. In the morning, trams glide through the streets. Public transport flows freely, simple, accessible, and woven into daily rhythm. No spectacle, just motion. A city moving at its own pace. Centuries-old buildings stand beside modest shops. Their facades are worn, but dignified. Each crack and faded color feels earned, as if time itself decided to leave fingerprints behind. Nothing is polished for show, and that honesty feels rare. Local markets come alive with sound and color. Vendors greet familiar faces. Fruits, bread, and flowers are arranged with quiet pride. There is no rush to impress, only a sense of belonging. Visitors don't feel like outsiders here. They feel invited to observe, to slow down, to notice. Pedestrian streets stretch through the city center, where footsteps replace engines, and conversations replace noise. Street musicians appear without warning. A violin, a guitar, a voice echoing softly between buildings. The music is not planned. That's what makes it powerful. Belgrade does not chase trends. It does not compete for attention. Instead, it offers moments. Small, human moments. A shared bench at sunset. A coffee enjoyed longer than expected. A stranger's smile that needs no translation. There is beauty in how unforced it all feels. No glamour, no performance, just reality, lived fully. And perhaps that is Belgrade's quiet surprise. In a world that often tries to impress, this city chooses to be real. For the traveler who looks beyond landmarks, Belgrade becomes unforgettable. Not because it demands admiration, but because it earns it, one ordinary moment at a time. After witnessing Belgrade's everyday rhythm, the story turns quieter and more honest. Life in Serbia is not easy, and the city does not hide that truth. Average wages remain modest, taxes feel heavy, housing prices continue to rise, especially in Belgrade, where demand quietly grows each year. For many locals, building a comfortable life requires patience, creativity, and resilience. Yet this is only one side of the story, because when daily expenses are counted, a different reality appears. Food remains surprisingly affordable. Fresh bread, local produce, and simple meals cost far less than in much of Europe. Markets and small shops keep traditions alive, offering quality without excess. Eating out is not a luxury here. It is part of everyday life. Coffee culture tells another truth. People sit longer. Conversations stretch without urgency. Time is not constantly chased. Even under economic pressure, life is not reduced to survival alone. There is space for connection, for presence. This balance creates something unexpected. A country where money is limited, but dignity is not. Where progress is slow, yet human warmth remains strong. Where stress exists, but does not fully define the rhythm of the day. For visitors, this contrast feels striking. Serbia may not promise ease, but it offers perspective. A reminder that value is not measured only in numbers, but in how life is lived between them. And perhaps this is the quiet lesson hidden beneath the surface. Serbia teaches that even under economic weight, a society can still protect its soul, still breathe, still welcome the world, with honesty and quiet strength. After understanding the economic reality of Serbia, the journey naturally moves closer to the table. Because here, food is not just nourishment, it is memory, it is identity, it is how everyday life quietly reveals who people are. Serbian cuisine carries the deep soul of the Balkans. Grilled meats sizzle slowly over open flames. Bread is dense, warm, and never rushed. Drinkable yogurt appears beside meals. Simple, cooling, almost ritualistic. Nothing feels designed for spectacle, yet everything feels deeply intentional. Meals are filling, honest, built for long conversations rather than quick bites. People eat together, they stay longer. Food becomes a pause in the day, not something to escape from. And then, there is a detail many visitors notice immediately. Nothing is free. Not water, not bread, not even the smallest addition. At first, it feels surprising, but slowly, its meaning becomes clear. This is not about stinginess, it is about respect. Everything has value. Everything has cost. Nothing is taken for granted. This mindset echoes across daily habits. People walk instead of rush. They greet shopkeepers by name. They return to the same cafes, the same bakeries, year after year. Routine is not boring here. It is grounding. Serbia does not chase trends. It preserves rhythm. A rhythm shaped by history, hardship, and a quiet understanding of what truly matters. For travelers, this feels grounding, almost humbling. In a world obsessed with speed and excess, Serbia offers something rare, a life that moves slower, but deeper. And perhaps this is the final surprise. Serbia may not overwhelm you with luxury, but it leaves you with something far more lasting, a sense of presence, a taste that stays long after the journey continues. As night falls, Belgrade transforms. The quiet rhythm of daytime streets gives way to movement, to sound, to light reflecting on the rivers. The Sava and the Danube no longer feel like borders, they become stages. Music drifts through the air, from floating river clubs to hidden basements, from jazz corners to electronic beats. The city begins to breathe differently. This is not a nightlife built for tourists. It is lived in, deeply, naturally. People gather late, very late. Conversations stretch past midnight without urgency. Laughter feels unforced. There is no rush to impress, only a desire to connect. And then, there is beauty, a kind that surprises many visitors. Serbia is often spoken of quietly, almost as a secret. When it comes to its women, elegant without trying too hard, confident without being loud. Fashion here feels expressive, sometimes bold, sometimes minimalist, but always intentional. Style is not about luxury brands, it is about presence, how someone walks into a room, how they speak, how they hold eye contact. Social life in Serbia is intensely human. People value closeness, friendships are deep, circles are tight, trust is earned slowly, but once given, it is strong. Bohemian streets glow at night, filled with cafes, bars, and small gatherings. Stories are shared over drinks, not screens. Music becomes a shared language, even when words fail. What makes Belgrade truly unforgettable is not the volume of its nightlife, but its sincerity. It does not perform. It invites, and as the night stretches on, travelers begin to understand something essential. Serbia's energy is not chaotic. It is alive, rooted in resilience, shaped by history, and carried forward by people who know how to celebrate life, not because it is easy, but because it is precious. When the night slowly fades, and the city returns to its quieter rhythm, Serbia reveals something deeper. This is a country that does not try to sell an illusion. It does not decorate itself to please expectations. What you see is what exists, and what exists is remarkably human. For many travelers, Serbia comes as a surprise, not because it is flashy, but because it feels safe, calm, grounded. People walk freely at night. Strangers offer help without suspicion. English is spoken with ease, especially among the younger generation, creating an unexpected sense of comfort for visitors. Yet Serbia remains largely undiscovered. It is not overwhelmed by crowds. Its streets are not shaped by mass tourism. Local life continues naturally, unfiltered, unperformed. This honesty is what sets Serbia apart. The country carries its past openly. Scars are not hidden. History is not softened, but neither is it used to ask for pity. Instead, it becomes a quiet source of strength. There are imperfections here, economic challenges, complex memories, contradictions between old and new, but these are not reasons to turn away. They are invitations to look closer. Serbia asks travelers to slow down, to listen, to observe, to understand before judging, and those who do, those who stay long enough to move beyond first impressions, often leave changed, with respect, with curiosity, with a sense that they have touched something real. In a world filled with destinations designed to impress instantly, Serbia chooses a different path. It does not demand attention, it earns it, quietly, honestly, and for those willing to explore beyond the surface, Serbia becomes more than a place on the map. It becomes a story worth remembering,